To introduce myself, I think already Gautam has said enough. So I bring with me around like 9+ years of industry experience. And after getting passed out from IIT Bechu, fortunately, unfortunately, I have been able to touch, all the different pillars of IT. So normally in IT sector, what you see, databases, you see a social networking site, you see e-commerce, you see money wallet, right? So I've been able to touch, fortunately, all the pillars of this whole IT dimension. And with that, I feel, I can bring some of the things which I have learned across this period, to help new budding engineers who are trying to make a mark in this IT industry. I think, with the experience that I have got over a period of time, I can talk about it. I can share my learnings, and I think that way, maybe, in some way or other can help you to achieve your dream goal. So this is all about this, and this is the context and the background for which I'm here today. So I'll try to break this question into the 2 or 3 parts actually, right? So first of all, in this IT's, the whole ecosystem, right? I feel that three kind of, or the three generations of people working. One is the budding engineers who are still in the college, the freshers. The second one is like, the mid-level engineers who have like, 3 to 5 years of experience. And the others one who have more than like, 5, like 7, 8, 10 or plus than that. So for each of these different kind of people or, the engineers, the requirements is subtly different. So I'll start with one who is a fresher, right? So if someone who is a fresher in the college and is looking for a good job, he want to, jump into the market. For them, the things are very simple. So on ideally, any person who is in a college, who is a fresher, they need to only focus on 3 things. The first one is any language. That can be anything. It can be either C++, it can be Java, it can be Python, but one language they should know how to write code in. That is very important. The second one is data structures and algorithm. I again feel, any company you take, whether it's a small company, big company, startup, or any dream company like Google, Microsoft, something like that, you will be judged on the data structures and algorithm. It's something which you cannot ignore. So if you are someone who is strictly, or you are very strongly passionate about making a good mark in the IT career, I think data structures and algorithm you cannot ignore. So that is the second thing. And the third thing is around the data. Like, we say that data is the new oil. People are moving around the data-driven decisions, right? So today, everything we're emitting so much of data, right? So we have to have some high-level understanding what data is, how to store that data, how to query that data, our conventional systems of storing data, and now what is in the field of the big data, right? So this holistic idea, on a high level, you don't have to go very deep as a fresher, but at least you should have a high-level understanding of all that thing. So if I feel if you cover all these 3 pillars, I think that is enough for a fresher. Now let's move to someone who's like, 3 to 5 years of experience. So all these things are important. This is already needed. So you need to have a data structure skills, no doubt. Any company to go and apply. Initial few rounds will be on that. But apart from that, few additional topic gets added. For example, how you design a system. If suppose, a new problem statement comes up and you have to design it, you have to architect it, right? So you have to have that, so design thinking approach in you, right? So that is again, that extra gets added. And said that, as a fresher, you have to have just high-level understanding, but since you have already worked in industry for like 3 to 5 years of experience now, you should have more depth. So you should now start working more towards getting the depth, more expertise. You shouldn't be jack of all trades. Rather, you should start building some kind of expertise in some fields, right? So that is another one. And as you move the ladder, right, if you move like more than 5, around 10 years of experience, based on, whether you want to move to the architectural line or you want to go to the managerial, things change. So I'm talking mostly on the tech per se. So if you're someone who wants to be in a shoe of an architect, right, a principal engineer kind of thing, right, again, here the depth matters. You have to pick one area where you have to show your expertise, whether it's a software development, big data space, artificial intelligence, ML, any area, but you have to be expert in one area, then only you will be valued. Nobody, see, this is the age of competition. There is no time for the average people, right? You have to show your mark. You have to be different from others. And this whole IT ecosystem is like a pyramid. In the bottom, there is so much of spaces, but as you climb the ladder, right, if you have to show your presence, you have to be different. So I feel these are the different things that you need. So as and when you grow in your career, the needs changes, but the basic remains the same. You have to be good into data structures and algorithm. You have to have a proper software development background. So that's all I think, is needed for any, people who are trying to make a mark in this IT industry. So to set the context, right, whenever somebody said that this company is asking easy question, that company is asking complicated question, it's not like that. Nobody is asking you question just for the matter of asking question or showing that we are great, right? So every company has set the expectation of their interviews based on their requirements. Actually, what the company is doing, that is what they are expecting in the interviews. So for example, normally if you take example of the service-based companies like the Wipro, TCS, Cognizant, right? Normally, they are called service-based companies because they provide services to their clients, right? And most of this, the contract to the client is a short-lived contract, maybe for 6 months or a year or a two, right? In which mostly the kind of project that they build is a kind of small application or the website, right? So the complication that they're trying to solve is not that great, right? And they need someone who can quickly come on, jump on the technology and start working it and get it delivered, right? So there the requirement is totally different. So that is why when these kind of companies interview someone, it's not like that these companies are bad or something like that, that they cannot deserve a great developers. Their requirements are different. They are actually expecting those people who are expert in some tech stack, some technology. For example, they will have the opening like, Java developer or C++ developer, .NET developer. So normally, when you talk about the service-based companies, they actually interview based on the technology. They hire engineers for particular technology. Either they will hire for .NET or the React developer, or something like full stack developer sometime, or sometime Angular developer, or they will say Java developer. So you normally find their interviews inclined towards the tech stack. Now let's talk about the startups. There's another flavor which, because thanks to all the economic boom and all that happening all around the world, the startup ecosystem has developed a lot. Now in the startup, what happens? First of all, they have to run very fast. They have a very iterative mode. And secondly, every startup has some resource crunches, both in the terms of the resources we are working on the project, and at the same time the money, right? The cash which runs the company, right? So what they have a limited resources and have to get all the work done, right? So that is why normally this trend of full stack development has come all thanks to the startups only, because they have limited people and they want that people to do all that stuff. So that is why every startup that you see these days, they're looking for full stack people. They want them to do on the back end also, they want to do on the front end also. And that is why the demand of the full stack has increased a lot. Now, if you talk about, what they will be asking, now these startups are solving very complex problems. They're trying to solve more real life problems, right? And to solve those problems, those are not already which has been solved in the past. Those are not which service-based companies are solving, right? So for that, you need to have that aptitude. Right? You need to have that learning that how to solve an unknown, right? So that is why again in these startups they try to check you on how you deal with unknowns, how you deal with the data structures and algorithms. So the interview process becomes a little complicated, because you are not judged on what you know, but you are more judged on what you think when you don't know something, right? So that is why the interview process becomes a little complicated. And then again, when you talk about some premium companies like top level tech giant company like Google, Microsoft, now they have reached another level, right? They are at a different scale working as of now. They have already solved all the known problems, and they're in a territory of unknown space. For example, Google is not solving any trivial problem as of now. Whatever they have in the hand is something which nobody has seen, right? So again, when you have to solve a problem of that scale, you should be prepared for that, right? So again, the kind of interview these guys do all depends on what kind of work they are doing. So when somebody says that, okay, Cognizant is not asking tough question, it's nothing like that the Cognizant is bad. Cognizant is equally good. It's just that they're asking people those questions which are relevant to their industry. And that is why we see a different kind of interview patterns in the different kind of companies. Very nice. So I think the first most important thing is that you should be very clear about what you want to, because I feel, once you are done from engineering, I think it's a high time that you should ask yourself, whatever that you're doing, are you actually into it? Are you giving 100% to it? That's a very important question to be asked. And once you're clear with it, okay, this is my goal. Tomorrow, suppose, for example, I'm giving an example. So tomorrow, suppose if I make a goal that, okay, I have to go into the Google sometime, maybe 2 years from now or 3 years from now, or maybe in the 6 months from now. If I have made a target, so once I have decided, then I should try to arrange some information around it, right? So for example, if I have to, target the interview of the Google, I'll try to figure it out, some resources around it. I'll try to find some suitable, mentors or some kind of anything which gives me the relevant information around it, which shows me a path that how, if I do these things in the pattern, this is how I go and achieve that. So we should try to find some information around that. And once we have that enough information, I think we should stick to the plan. Sticking to a plan is very important. I've seen many of the students, what they do is that initially they're very excited, they will study for a few days in a street, and then again they will forget it. And then after 6 months back, again they will come back, oh, I again have to do. So I feel, the continuity is the key. Once you have decided what your goal is, sticking to your plan, once you have finalized, is the key. Working like 10 hours in a day and then just leaving it for the next 10 days will not make any sense. I'll suggest, if you are not able to give enough time, just give 1 hour every day. That is also more than enough, but the continuity is the key. So the idea is you should be very clear what you have to do. Once you have done, try to figure it out, the resources around that which can help you to achieve that goal. Maybe some organization, some coachings. In fact, your platform is a great place where people can come and register themselves, because you guys provide a very nice, well organized industry expertise way of how to reach your goals or whatever the dream that you have made. And once you have done, please stick to it. Devote some extra time. Be aligned to the plan that you have made. And I think that is way. It's no rocket science. If somebody has done it, if I have done it, trust me, you can do much better way, because I feel people these days have much more resources than what we had. We at that our time, it's only us. We had to put the pressure on us and collect information from so many places and get it done. Today, I think things are very simple. It's all on your mobile phone. You just have to open your Great Learning YouTube app and start learning things. So I feel this time it's all for you. You have all the resources. The only thing that is needed is a little focus and confidence in yourself, and just keep working hard. I don't see any reason that why you shouldn't be a success. Yeah, so basically I started my career with Oracle, and as I said, I'm not from a CS background, so frankly speaking, I didn't have much of, so I had C in when I was in college. So in the college, we used to teach C, and I got C in the C. So that was only thing that I learned when I started my journey with Oracle. And to say that that it was all great, it was not like that. Many of the times in the initial few months, I always repented that why did I choose IT career? I could have went well into my own core field, and I would have done great there. I have come here where I have to compete with all the because like I was in Oracle that time, and all the other students who were peers, they were the computer science graduate, and definitely somebody has studied for like 4 years only computer science, and I've done nothing. They definitely had something more than what I had, right? So for the initial few months, it was there in my mind: have I done anything wrong? Like, have I made a biggest mistake of my career? But slowly and slowly, when I spent more time into this, I realized one thing that, the computer science or, basically an IT job is more than a particular subject. It's more about, your interest. If you have an interest in the coding, if you really love to play with the numbers, and if you have an appetite to solve, complex problems or something which is unknown, I think that automatically will drive you into it. So slowly and slowly, when I was working in the Oracle, I actually started loving it. I saw that, how a small change in the code is impacting so many people outside, right? I make a small change in the database right now, and there's so many companies using that Oracle database, and it's having impact on that. So I realized how impactful it is, right? So slowly, slowly, I developed, interest in that, and then I started realizing about, okay, what all it takes to do good in this. So that time I talked to many of my seniors, and that is when I feel, the mentors or, the organization which actually shows you apart really plays an important role. So I talked to many of the mentors. They help me understand, what are the things that it takes. So then I realized, okay, if I have to survive in this field, I have to really own the data structures and algorithm. So now it was not needed at all, because I was fairly comfortable in Oracle. I started learning about data structures and algorithm. And I realized that this is something which will help me throughout my career, and it's still helping me out, trust me. It's not only for the cracking interview, but if you're comfortable with the DS and Algo, you are always confident about writing a more optimized code. And then I moved to the PayPal. There I got more exposure. And then again, I felt, the changes that I'm making is happening in, around 150 markets of the world, right? A small change in my code is impacting like millions of the people. So I'll just tell you, there was a bug. We were working on an issue, and our system was down for just like 30 seconds, and that led to the $1 million loss to the PayPal. So this is how big the impact was, and that whole impact, drive me crazy. Like, this is what I wanted to do. Like, every day when I come to the office, I'm working on a new challenge. So I think that's something drove more, interest on me, and I started working on it. And then I moved to, Walmart. There again, it was a different all ball game. It was an e-commerce thing. It was more like a startup kind of environment in which people are fighting for the new space in the market. So this is how it went well. So, what I realize is that, the only thing when I see back and, see that why I'm here, LinkedIn, what the thing that I did well to commit here is that the curiosity. The curiosity is very important. Whatever you are working on, you should be curious about, what you are doing and why you are doing and what is the impact that you are creating. If you have done that, I think the things falls into place. A very nice question actually, and I think these days students are very proactive. I think they are much more than what we were when we were in college. So normally, what I see, if you are a student who are in like third year, maybe second year also, or maybe in a final year, I think the college life is a time when you will have enough time for you. I think so. Right now, you should try to learn as much as possible, but before that, be little clear about that what you want to, where you want to land your job in. So basically for a fresher, the three kind of job roles you will get in the market. The one is the front end, the second one is the back end. The third one is the full stack engineer, where you are supposed to do both the front end as well as the back end. Normally I see as a fresher, you should actually vouch for the full stack role because that gives you a little width and you also understand the different aspects of the whole software development. So if somebody asks me if you're in college, what should I'd say that, you should know at least bits and pieces of everything so that, tomorrow when you go into the industry, you have a proper width. So I suggest, you try to learn a bit and pieces of all the full stack development and don't only learn in the theory, try to bring into the practice. Build a small project, but put that on the GitHub, right? Build a small project, try to create some kind of demo out of, put it on the LinkedIn. Today, I feel LinkedIn is one of the greatest platform where you can showcase your, talent and, you can build your own brand. What I feel, you as an engineer, a budding engineer, you're just not a student, you are a brand, you should know how to advertise yourself. But just advertising will not work. So both quality is very important. So how quality can be done? You learn more, build more and try to put that on the different platform like GitHub is there, LinkedIn is there, and you can create your own portfolio sites, right, where you can put your achievements. And at the same time, once you have built the quality, you should also know how to, network to the other people, how to socialize and how to, exchange yourself. So the other people start noticing you, okay, X is doing so great. Why not talk to him? Something like that. So work on the quality, and at the same time, you should also work sometime around how to network yourself and, market yourself so that people start noticing you. I think this is again a very common doubt. People realize that if they're not good in the maths, they cannot do in the data structures. They cannot do great in the data structures. I don't see these 2 points very valid. Okay, if you see any data structures and algorithm on a high level, they are not very much related to the maths. But said that, I'm not denying the fact that, at the end of everything, it is 0 and 1. Okay, so it's maths everywhere. But on a high level, when you're trying to solve data structures and algorithm, I don't think you don't have to feel intimidated about maths. Even if you don't know anything about math, trust me, you just follow our sessions on the GitLink and you realize that you don't need an iota of the concept like, calculus and all these things that you have learned in the 12th or in your engineering about the maths. So to get started with, there's nothing like that. You are stuck that if you're not good in maths, you cannot do DSNL course. You can always do better. Now, once you have reached a particular level in the data structures and algorithm, to move to the next level, by that time, trust me, you would have already been matured so much that, whatever things that it takes to learn more about the DS and algo, it will automatically come. So even if you're not that great in the maths, I think if you have reached some foundational level, by that time you can easily launch yourself. You can start, you will have enough interest developed in the subject that, you yourself be motivated to learn those things and get them. And there's nothing like tough. It's all about perception. Trust me, it's all, relative. There's no absolute definition, something called tough is. So today you are feeling it tough only because you're not enough interested in that. So trust me, you just follow our sessions, I'll suggest. And once you have an interest in it, I think these statements like something looks tough to me will automatically vanish. It will go away on your own. Basically, suppose I'll give my example. So I have been interviewing candidates for a long time now, and I've been interviewing when I was Walmart also, and in the PayPal also, and now also I interview lots of folk. So see, at the end of a day, when I'm interviewing someone, right, I'm just trying to find a culture fit. I'm trying to find someone who can come to my team and work. I'll try to set another perspective. Normally, people get frightened when they get a interview call, and many of the students tell me that I'm able to solve problem when I'm at home, but I'm not able to solve in the interviews because of the pressure. So I just want to tell you one very frank thing. When somebody is asking you to come for the interview, they're not giving any, they're not doing any ihsan on you, right? It's a win-win situation for them also. A company is equally dying to hire you as much dying you are to get that job. Just think that thing. It's not just that only you are looking for a job. The company is also equally dying to get a better fit. So it's always, interview is always a win-win situation. So always go with the confidence and don't feel that only I am in the need. Just feel like that the company is also equally needing you. So it's like, equal situation for both of you. So there's no need to get, anxiety or any kind of fear when you're going for the interview. This is first thing. Second thing is that, any good company, if you take like whatever the names that you take, right? And any good company, when they ask any question to an interviewee, the only intention is to understand what is the thought process of that particular person is, how that person thinks, how the person behaves when some unknown situation comes to its plate. The intention is not to get the answer. Like nobody is just interested in, listening to the answer that how you solve the particular DSLGO problem. DSLGO problem is just a platform or the way in which you judge someone, how you solve a problem. The idea is just to understand, if given an unknown situation, how this person behaves, how is his thought process? Is he able to communicate his thoughts? Is he able to take the enough hints from the system? For example, if tomorrow, if you come and start working in my team, many of times the situation will happen that you may not have enough information. So what do? Either you say that, no, I'm not seeing this problem, I cannot solve it. Or what do? You go and ask your peers, you go to your manager, you go to your tech lead, collect more information, right? Try to build on the things which I've learned from the past. So as an interview is a process which basically is trying to test you on those things. I'll give you one very concrete examples. That if you go for any of the good tech company, they have some round in which they purposefully ask you a very tough question, and they expect that you will not be able to solve it. It's totally expected, right? But in that question, what we want to understand is that has the interview given up? Did he try to solve the question? Did he try to ask more questions around it? Did he try to communicate it with the interviewer? How was his approach? Was he open towards the new suggestions or not, right? These are very important because just solving a problem doesn't make much sense because that anybody can mug up and do it. But all these attributes that you reflect in the interview is something which is more important. So I feel, whatever the name of companies that you took and any of the good companies as such, at the end of the day, this is the whole motive behind any question that is being asked. So yeah, so I think I'll just, I think it's a very good question. So everybody is solving, practicing data structures and algorithm these days, and there are so many sites and there are so many organizations that are conducting the trainings on that. So the chances is that when an interviewee goes for an interview, suppose like 5 candidates are interviewing for the same position, everybody ends up solving that problem. Very much possible, right? But how do you make a difference that your solution stand out in comparison to others? There are multiple things that you can do on it. First of all, whenever given a particular problem, don't try to solve the problem in hand. Try to think holistically, okay? Whenever a problem is being asked to you, don't just try to jump on that and solve that problem in the hand. That anybody is do. That's not something will make you stand you from the others. For example, when you, in the industry also, right? If a problem comes, you just solve that. And there's another person who actually thinks about what the customer needs and what the customer can need in the future, and you think futuristically and then solve it. These are the two different things, right? So similarly, you have to actually express in the interview that how you're different from the others, how you think futuristically. So how that can happen? Whenever a question happens, try to think loud about it. Try to think all the corner cases around it. Try to have follow-up questions from the interviewer. Okay, for example, if the array question is on array, ask him whether this array is mutable or it is immutable. What happens if the array size becomes more than the size of the machine in which I'm trying to solve? So if you ask these kinds of questions, it will try to reflect some points in the mind of the interviewer that you are not just solving the problem in hand, you are a futuristic solver. You solve the problem with the future in the mind, right? And this is what the hour of need is. Everybody is looking for this kind of talent. Already we have enough talent, we can solve the problem in the hand. But if someone can solve the problem in a much scalable way, which is futuristic in the scope, I think that is what is needed. So this is one thing that you can do to always stand out. The second thing is that be a good communicator. Communication is very important in any industry, right? So whenever you have been given a question, you should always try to communicate your thought. So that will help you in multiple ways. One, it expresses that you are a good communicator and you know how to communicate to the other people. The second thing is that it will help. So if you suppose try to solve a problem by 3 different approaches and you have explained all the 3 approaches to the interviewer, he understands that, okay, he has a wide range of thought. He's not only constrained to one single direction, right? So even though if you're not able to fully answer the solution, at least the interviewer will have some good points about you that, okay, this guy, now he was not able to give out the final answer. That is not also not very important, but he was able to think in 3 different ways, which I feel is very important in the current context of the industry. So that is the second important point. And the third one is that I feel interview giving is an art. Okay, normally people feel that, you know, it is the interviewer who is driving the interview, but I feel it's the interviewee who should drive the interview. I think it comes with a practice and a little bit of mentoring, but I feel this is very important. Once you realize that, you know, what your strong and the bad points are, you can always try to drive the interview with the right choice of the words and the right choice of, the technology that you have put into the place to drive the interview in the direction where you are strong. So for example, if you are strong in, or, you know, for example, in Kafka or the non-synchronous way of the programming, you should always try to, you know, move or mold your interview in such a direction that you force the interviewer to ask question around that, and then you play on your strength. So these are the few subtle points which comes with the practice, and this is how we teach on these platforms. You know, if you learn these art, I think that is when you feel confident to, you know, crack any interview, and that is how you bring a difference between you and the other people who are actually also in the race for the same interview. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. So if someone is right now in a service-based company and they want to, you know, move into a product-based company, or in fact a better company with a more challenging role, I think data structures and algorithm is something which is a must, And nobody should think that, you know, I have like 7 years of experience, so I don't need to learn DS and algorithms, nothing like that. Because DS and algorithm is not just important for the cracking interview, also for your day-to-day task, the coding that you do. Unless until you are good into it, you cannot do justice to it. So that is very important. You know, so whether it's a 5 years or a 7 year or a 10-year guy, I feel if someone is in a tech role and he is planning to continue in the tech role for some good amount of time, the DSL Go is a must. Second question is that how should they make a move? How should they take a move? So normally with the people who have worked in a service-based company, I see one mentality developed. So normally what they do is that they constrain themselves in one particular technology. They start calling themselves that I'm a Java developer. They will start calling themselves that, okay, I'm a .NET. If you ask them what you do, they will say I'm a .NET developer. Or whenever you communicate to them, normally they say, okay, they will normally ask you this question, in which technology you work. So normally what happens, because of the kind of work and, you know, the ecosystem in which they have worked for the last couple of years, they just constrain themselves in one particular tech stack. And that is something which I feel is very dangerous for in this IT space. If you have to grow, and if you see that you have to mark in this IT industry, you have to keep yourself general. You should try to become a software engineer. You shouldn't try to become a Java developer or a C++ engineer or a, you know, Golang engineer. You should try to become a software engineer. And to be a good software engineer, the basics should be set right. The basics should be, you should be knowing, you know, data structural algorithm. You should be knowing the computer science basic, and you should be open to learn things. This is very important, right? So you should be open to learn. Suppose tomorrow, if the Golang is needed to do a project, you should be open to learn that. If the Java is needed, you should learn Java. If the Scala is needed, you should learn Scala, right? So the most important thing is that open to change. The flexibility is very important. And normally, you know, because if you go and work for 5 or 6 years in a service-based company, normally you don't become, you know, their flexibility goes down. You become a little rigid. You don't feel like, no, who will learn the new tech stack? So I think if those things are coming, these are the anti-pattern that you should observe in yourself. Try to get away from it. Try to become a general software engineer. That is very important. And the day you do it, I think there is no dearth of opportunity these days in India. There are so many companies out there, just that they're looking for the right talent. So I'll first talk about those who are coming from the tier 2 or tier 3 colleges. Frankly speaking, trust me guys, you know, the name of the college is only asked during the first job, trust me. Once you have crossed the first job, no other company will, you know, dive into which company, college you are in. For personally, if you know, last time when I interviewed for LinkedIn, they didn't ask me a single question that where you have done your BTech or where you have come from. So just to set the context right, this college thing is only relevant in the first job itself. Once you are done through the first job and you're making a move, nobody will even think of or ask you what your grades were, what your branch was, what your college was, nothing. The only thing that will speak is the work that you're doing, the things that you put on the resume. This is very important, right? So don't worry much about, because the things which are done are done. You cannot change it. You cannot change your college. You can, because this question you would have asked when you would have an 11. I think that time I would have given you more tips that how to study more physics, chemistry, and math and get into a better college. But now things are in past. You cannot change it, right? So only thing that you can do is that try to build yourself from now. And again, today, this is the world of social networking. The social sites are in the presence, right? There's so many things that you can do, right? You are not restricted to a college, even though you are you're part of a tier 2 or tier 3 college. Maybe their professors are not good or the resources are not good, right? But you have so much thing in the hand. Everything is your mobile, right? There's so many other organizations. There's so many online platforms right now. Great Learning, one of the biggest example of that, right? So you don't feel yourself that you are at the you are constant or anything. You have so many resources. The only thing that you need to do is that build on yourself, try to learn from the others, try to learn from your seniors, mentors, organizations that are providing you the feedback, try to build on the top of it and start working on yourself. Try to build your brand, right? And how do you do it? Whatever that you learn, try to build a small project on it, put it on the LinkedIn, put it on the GitHub, and try to showcase to the others. Try to build solutions. Don't only be a rattu tota, right? Try to build solutions and build solution, put on any of the social networking site, expose it to the people, and then again do the networking. So I think this is very important. If you are from the tier 2, tier 3, just come out of this inhibition that I am from tier 2, tier 3. It's the old news now. It's no more matters. And I feel the way we are going, tomorrow I even feel even the classes in the concrete walls will not make any sense. I think today is the age of the online learning, in which these things will hardly make any sense, that where you are doing your engineering. Everybody will have on the same path. And even in the current context, just for the matter of the first job. So don't worry much on that. Now coming back to those people who are into the different profile, for example, testing, or they are into the service-based company, as I'm again repeating, if they have to make, so now again, they have to realize that they have to make a change. They have to break their normal schedule, right? They have to break this static friction. So yes, they have to do some extra efforts. For example, if someone is on a QA and if they have to move to the developer thing, they have to learn some language skills. They have to work on the data structures and algorithms, try to, do some kind of mock interviews, and then start appearing in the interviews. The first break will be difficult, that is for sure. But once you have got a first break, and trust me, it's not impossible. It's not a rocket science. In fact, the first project that I got was also a QA thing. So I started my career as a QA. So that is again an example that if somebody is starting from the QA, they can still work as a role of an architect. So I also started my career as a QA, right? And that too a manual tester, right? It's not even the automation engineer, right? So if I can do it, you can also do it with the great resources that you have in your hand. So don't restrict or constrain yourself with that I am from a tier 2 or tier 3 college, because these all things are in the mind. If you just come beyond that and you see that how many good things that you have in the hand, how much resources that you have in that, I feel that you are more privileged and you can do anything, man. You can do anything in your life. So normally, frankly speaking, trust me, the institute is the last thing that I look into the resume. In fact, most of the people who are into the institute is the last thing that we look into the resume. In fact, in my LinkedIn right now for the internship, we made a rule that nobody will look at the college from which the student is coming. So that is something that is actually a good trend which is coming across the different companies as of now. This is one thing. So what is important? So as a fresher, what I look for is that for a fresher, I try to look at what are the projects that they have done, what are the projects that they have done in the college, and how relevant it is to the role that they are applied. So for example, right now, if I'm looking for a developer role and if he has done a project in, say, suppose machine learning, that doesn't make sense to me. So that is not a relevant. I'll not pick up, right? So I want to look at the relevant work that he has done. So a candidate should be very clear when they send their resume. They should be knowing for what role they're applying and do they have the relevant experience for it. Normally what I see, people are very casual about it. They just create one single piece of the resume and just keep on sending, forwarding to every job role. I think that is very wrong. You should always try to customize your resume based on the company that you are, or the role that you are applying for. That is very important. This is one thing. Second is, if it is a fresher, we also try to look for, if he is into the coding practice, if he's into different platforms, what is the rank and all that stuff. But again, that is something which we don't give great importance to, because I personally feel, working in an industry and doing a competitive coding are the, two different things. Because in a competitive coding, what happens is that you have been given a well-defined problem statement. You have a well-defined input set of rules. You have a well-defined problem and you have a well-defined solution to it. But working in the industry is a totally different ball game. You have always an undefined problem statement. You have to, you have to improve that problem statement and solve that out. So we give more importance to actually the real life projects, but said that, yes, having a good score in the competitive programming is again an added advantage, because this is how the first round of any company goes. You have to give some hacker rank test or any online test. So if you have a good practice in a competitive programming as such, it definitely gives you an edge. So these are the few things we normally look for the fresher. If it is somebody who is already in the work experience, we try to look at what he has done in the previous company or any side project, if any, and see if there is any relevant experience to it. So again, for that I said, customizing your resume based on the company where you are applying is very important, because if you are applying for a machine learning role and you are showing the experience of a Java development, it doesn't make any sense. And similarly, if you're applying for a Java development role and you're saying that I'm a great data scientist, again, equally, even though you have been a great data scientist, but you're not a good Java developer, right? So it doesn't make any sense. So try to make a resume specific and customized to the company you're applying to. Don't be very blind about, just giving one copy of resume to everyone, which I feel most of the people are doing these days. I'll just give you one, a conversation. I was in US and I was talking with the head HR of Netflix last year, and she was telling. I was just asking about, how is the process of the interview, Netflix company, and I think Netflix is one of the biggest, most reputed tech company to work for, right? So they said, out of 100 resume that we get, right, 90% of the resumes are just crashed because they don't know what role they're applying for. They simply just put on anything and just they apply blindly because, okay, there's a Netflix, there's an opening, so I'll just apply. They are not even sincere about, what role that is all about. So 90% of the resume is just like crash. The remaining, 5% of that are again in such a jumbled order that it's not practically possible for any human to read it, make any meaning out of it. And also, if suppose they have made some automation, right? If they suppose made some annotation to take meaning out of it, it is so jumbled that they cannot actually even automate it and take the meaning of it. So again, it's very tough to, find it. And out of those 5%, the remaining 5% also, 3% of the people are though they have made the resume, but they are not competitive enough at all. So they, out of 100 resume, they get only 2 which they actually feel, worth interviewing for. I think this is true for, in fact, almost all the companies. And the reason for is that people know that resume is important, but they always end up taking it for granted. And I think this is something, the resume is your mask, guys. It's your face. So the better you, decorate your face, the better people will like it. So I think that is where, people must pay attention to. So as a fresher, I think, any companies will mostly judge you on data structures and algorithm for a fresher, because even if you don't do good in the language or the database, it's totally fine. But I think, any company as such will mostly judge you on data structure. So if you're like 3 months, I suggest that, you get started from today itself on the data structures and algorithm. And in the end, when you have like, 2 or 3 weeks left, I think try to pay a little attention around, the computer science basics, like read a little bit about how the OS works, how the networking happens, how the internet works in general, right? And the few things around, as I said, data is very important. People are taking a data-driven decisions, right? So that data is very important. So take a little heat around how the database works, RDBMS world, non-RDBMS world. So these are very important. But said that, I think one important thing that you should take from here, the data structures and algorithms is very important. If you have only 3 months left, then I think you should get started from today itself. That's the only key. Normally, if I have to interview someone, right, normally I try to first understand that, where he comes from, what the values that he brings, okay, what kind of work he has done in the past. So for example, if I'm interviewing some senior candidate, right, so I'll first try to understand, what is the value that he can bring to us, what are the new learning that he can bring us to the table, so that we can also learn from it. So at the end of the everyday, I'm just trying to look for a new peer with which I can, love to work with, which can add some value to me. So for that aspect, I think, whenever you're going to for any interview, be very clear about the project that you have done in the past. Be very, only if you know something, then only you put on your resume. Don't try to fake it, because, faking on the resume will not take you long. You will definitely be caught by the interviewer. So always think that interviewer is always smart than you. I think this is a very thing, wise advice I should keep in the mind. Never try to fake anything into your resume. So wherever you go for an interview, be very clear about, what you have done in the past, what you have worked, right? You should be very clear about the project, because this is the first thing in any interview you will be quizzed upon. So once I understand that what this person has worked in the past, now I'll try to understand, okay, so these are the expertise that he brings into the table, and that's great. But I'll also try to understand how he will, in my kind of environment, the kind of job role that he has come for, how if his technology is not matching with what we are working on, it's totally fine, because there's so much of tech around in the market. So it's not possible that they will work on the same tech stack on which we are working, but I'll definitely try to understand whether he's flexible enough to learn things, whether he can learn new things quickly, right? This is my next thing that I would like to check upon him. And this I can check based on the multiple things. Maybe I'll give him some hypothetical situation, some hypothetical question, or I can post with him some kind of data structure algorithm question, or I can ask him some kind of design problem. But around all these problems, I will only be asked, trying to judge that whether he can learn new things. Is he open to learn new things, right? So a student in this case can, how they can attempt is that whenever a unknown question comes to you, never say no. Never say that, okay, can we move to the next question? This is the biggest, negative for any interview. Never say like that, okay, let's move to the next, I don't know this. Even if you have confront a question which you're not aware of, try to think a little more about it. Talk to your interviewer about it. Say that, okay, I'm not very clear about it, but I'm thinking in this direction. Let me know if I'm thinking right. Now with that, you can improve your conversation. The interviewer will give you more hints around that. You can improve your solution. At least it shows that you are not someone who gets blocked by some unknown. Rather, you still try to, put your hands on it and try to find a path out of it, right? So that is very important. So if I see some indications, whenever I will give a tough problem to a candidate and I see these kind of indication, okay, he's still trying, he's trying different ways, he's communicating well, I think these are the kind of positive indications for me, which I feel that at the end of the day, I want someone who have a passion to work. I don't just want someone who has, memorized all the problems and just come and solve it. So that is another thing that I look for. And thirdly, that I look for is the team fit, because at the end of the day, I want that person not only to be technically strong, but I also want to be a good human being. So at the end of the day, you have to be a good person, right? So, and that reflects in the way you talk, that reflects in the way you communicate, that reflects in the way you solve your problem. So whenever you are trying to go for an interview, try to be a little polite, try to be, you should be capable, you should be, ready to hear something out, right? So try to be a good listener. I think these are the few attributes every interviewer will be looking into it. Specifically, I definitely look for this, because at the end of the day, I have to work with him for all the coming days. So that human behavior is also very important. But said that, yeah, the most important thing is the technical expertise, which we check around either a design question, or it can be data structures algorithm, or based on the projects that he has done on. So the basic nutshell, if I have so, just try to express yourself as much as possible, because that is the limited 40 minutes of time in which you have to sell yourself. So be very expressive, be polite, be, you should be patient enough to hear what he is saying, and be very true to yourself. You cannot fake it. You cannot fake it in an interview. So don't try it also. Yeah, so basically, for example, if it is a tech interview, right? So normally I would want the interviewer to, the interview to talk about more about, how he has contributed into the project. Normally people tend to start saying that what the whole team does and how the whole team, the product has moved. Rather, I want to understand more about how he or she has contributed in that project. And when he has contributed, what are the different pathways that he has taken? What are the things that he has learned throughout that whole process? What are the mistakes that he has made and, have learned from it? So I would like to understand, what are the different, how he has used the use of the technology, what are the new things he has learned, and actual contribution of his work in that whole piece of it. Normally, I don't get that. Normally, people end up explaining what the whole team does, what is the functionality of the whole thing. I think that is important to understand, but I think that is not what someone is expecting out of you in the interview. The interviewer is more interested and focused around you, what you have done, what you have contributed, what you have learned. So I think you should try to focus more around that, how your contribution has, brought the difference in the product. I think that is more important. Be focused, because you have a limited time. You have only 40 minutes or 60 minutes of time, right? So don't try to speak on those aspects which is not much, relevant to you. Perfect. So the system design, basically gets asked when you have some kind of industry experience, maybe like, as and when people start like 2+ years of experience, you're expected to have some higher level, understanding of the system design. But as and when your experience grows, like you go to 5 years, then 6 years, you go into the position of a lead, tech lead and all that stuff, that time you are more and more, expected to learn more about this system design. The rationale is very simple, right? Every company is trying to solve some problem. And with more and more competition, the complexity of the problems are also increasing. And since there are so many competitors in the market, everyone is trying to bring the best product to the people so that they have a better market coverage and the people are like it more, right? So to solve any problem, whenever we had anyone experience, like say 5+ years of experience, we want them to come and be a problem solver. We cannot give them a problem that, okay, this is a problem, you have to solve it. They have to know that, they have to catch the problems from the market, from the customers, right? And they have to solve it. And sometimes maybe they have to solve it from the scratch, right? So that is why the whole intention of the system design is that given a situation, given a problem statement, will you be able to think through? Will you be able to, how, and this is one thing. And second is that whenever a new problem statement comes to you, how do you relate? How do you, capture all the requirements of it? So for example, in the industry, if some new problem happens, like we have to talk to the product, we have to talk to the customers, we have to get all the inputs, create the use cases around it, and then build our solution on the top of it. So same thing, we just want to understand whether that candidate is ready enough to take that kind of responsibility or not. And only if we feel that, he is ready enough, that can only be tested if you give some kind of design problem. So I think the whole rationale behind the design round is that to understand the readiness of a candidate, that whether he is ready right now to take up a new project, can he stand on its own, he is ready to lead a team of few junior developers, and if given a new project, will he able to lead it with all the requirement gathering, customer satisfaction, and the whole rollout of the whole product thing. So I think that is the basic rationale behind the system design in any company. Okay, a very candid honest, I'll tell you the first interview of my life, and it was in the college. So the interview asked me that, what is your specialization? So I said that mining, okay. And he said data mining. I said no, coal mining. and, and he was like, oh, seriously. So I think that was really funny. And as soon as I said that, okay, I'm not data mining specialist, I'm a coal mining specialist with shovel and all the big dumpers and all. And he was like, okay. So I've got someone crazy. So, and then he just laughed out in the bus. So that was something. So the point I wanted to make it here is that, a guy who is from the mining background, right? And who has not studied an iota of computer science. And today I feel, very fortunate that, many of my peers who are computer engineers from the ITs, they in fact message me and they say, can you refer me to LinkedIn, right? And they're not even getting shortlisted for the interviews, right? So that time I feel that, the point why I want to mention it here is that, if I can do it, you guys can do it too, right? So just try to keep faith in yourself, try to work hard, try to improve yourself every day. And I think that is the only key. The consistency is the key, and, focus is very important. Try to be sincere. There's no need of, be serious, be joyful, be happy, enjoy your life, because at the end of the day, it's all about life, but be little sincere. That is all it takes. And if I can do it, you guys can do it too, with much more better way, much more efficiently. And maybe I took it like 9 years to where I am. Maybe you can do it in the first chance itself. So that's all. So see, first of all, you should be very clear that what you want to make out of your career, because a computer engineer is a totally different path. Okay, and again, choosing a MBA for your higher studies is totally different path came, right? Don't just do for the sake of a rat race. I have seen many of my students doing that when I was in a college, that everybody just writes CAT just because they feel this is an engineer's ritual of writing that every year. So don't fall into that ritual of writing CAT or a MAT or a JAT for that. See if you're actually interested, genuinely interested in doing MBA, because I've seen many of my friends from the ITs, they are into the MBA, they're doing great. And also I've seen few of the folks who have done their MBA, but they're regretting it badly because, first of all, doing an MBA you really need to pay a heavy amount for the MBA. And second, after that, you are actually giving 2 years of life into MBA. And if you're not clear about why you are doing it, you will actually end up regretting it, because that 2 years time you are also paying, you're not earning. So you are having a loss of salary into those 2 years. Secondly, after the 2 years, if you're not actually interested, you may not end up into the kind of role that you actually dreamt of. So again, that will be a kind of setback for you. So I have seen I'll tell you with my experience, many of my folks who are from the ITs who just went for this rat race, they went into the MBA, top colleges from the MBA, but still they are not satisfied with the kind of work they are doing, both in the terms of the salary and also in the kind of work they're doing. But at the same time, I've seen few of my folks who actually wanted to do MBA, and they knew that they had to do MBA, and they're doing great. They're doing great like anything. So to answer your question, just to be very clear, why do you want to do MBA? Just answer yourself this question. If you have that answer, you can go for it. But if you don't have, I think you have already enough given 4 years to your engineering. Try to focus on that. Try to make the best out of it, what you have invested for the last 4 years. Try to work on that. And yes, so basically you'll have to first introspect yourself. Once you have the answer what you want to do, I think that is how you should take your career. Maybe Gautam has done MBA. He's both an ITN and a MBA, so I think he should be better able to answer this question. Okay, so for that again, based on what kind of role you are in and which kind of role actually you are trying to switch on. So for example, normally I see a trend right now. People are moving, trying to switch towards either a data science role or they're trying to move towards a big data role, right? I see so many people are developers in the mid-range, like 5+ years of experience. They are a software developer. They have been working in the service-based companies or maybe some in the product-based companies, and they want to switch to the big data role or the data science role. So what I suggest to them is that learning is good, but at the same time try to build some projects. So for example, if you're someone who are trying to become a big data engineer, right? So try to learn few things and try to build it, right? Just don't learn it, just build and run. So there should be, both should go in the parallel. You should build, learn. And whenever you're building anything, try to showcase also, try to make it so good, right? So that you are confident enough to showcase to the other people also. And this will basically motivate you further to create new projects. So for example, if you build a small project, put that on a GitHub. So to your friends, once your friends start supporting it, automatically you will get, confidence from the behind that, okay, I'm doing good, I should create another level of that. So this is how you should be doing. Just don't learn it, because learning will go away in some time. You will forget it because things are so, so many new things to learn every day. It's very tough to, keep hold on that. So this is one thing. So based on area of interest where you want to switch on, try to build project on that and build iteratively, one on the top of another, right? So this will help you to get the first hands-on experience. And when suppose fortunately you get a chance to break into the interview for that company, you have the enough say that, okay, now in my previous company I was into a different role, but I can genuinely prove you that actually I'm interested in big data because I have built multiple projects around that big data. I've just not taken the course, but I've also built the solution. You can see my repo, you can see how many folks it has been done, how many people has visited that, and all that stuff. So this gives the confirmation in the mind of the company who's interviewing you that, okay, this guy is not just faking it just for the name of the certificate. He's not done some course, rather he's also built something. So based on your area of interest, so for example, if you're a UI engineer and you want to move into a React zone, try to learn React, build some application around that. If you want to go into the data science for machine learning, learn machine learning, supply some algorithms, apply on some data set, so to it, right? If you're going to work in the backend engineer role, right, try to build or something around the microservices, try to talk about service oriented architecture, try to build some applications around that, try to learn anything which is the cutting edge technology. Right now, for example, a few years back, the SOAP was the mainstream for the service oriented architecture. Now the people are using REST. Now people again started challenging REST. Now they said REST is still not scalable, so they're moving towards something else. They're moving towards gRPC, right? So gRPC is the next thing. So try to have a lookout for what are the new things in the tech space. Try to learn those things. Try to put that in your resume and showcase it further. I think these are the things, if you do, I think that is good enough to make a move, make a next big move in your career. But just thinking and not doing will not make any sense. So you will have to actually just learn it, do it, and showcase it, right? All these things is very important. Yeah, so I definitely have a very strong opinion on this. I feel now because of this COVID-19 thing, few of the startups I see, they have stopped their internship programs, and I also see few of the startups have dropped their job offers to few of the candidates, and few of them are doing some layoff kind of thing. But I see this is very temporal. I don't see the corona has to have some very big or the heavy impact on the IT job cycle, because the core of it is internet, and I see this will give a new normal to this IT industry, in which people will understand the importance of the remote working. So I feel this will bring a more new opportunities, a new different kind of roles. I see many of the companies now, they have started a concept of called the virtual internship, right? Which is again a new concept which the people are trying. Now, given this kind of, the trials which the companies are trying doing right now, I see, this as more as an opportunity. That's something to worry about. So I'll suggest all the students right now, final year, and all the people who are trying to look for a change, don't worry much. I don't think the corona will have the same impact which the last 2009 financial turmoil had on the IT industry, but that was a financial crisis. This is not one. This was mostly around the corona. Once the thing subsides, I think there will be a definite openings in all the IT ecosystem, because right now everything is going on internet. Everything is we are trying to solve the problems with a much aggressive rate than how we have been doing in the past. So I don't see any problem in the terms of openings, vacancies as such. This is just a small turmoil. So just try to make the best out of this situation, guys. Try to improve your skill, upskill yourself. Try to make the use of the platforms like the Great Learning to enroll into the different courses. This is the opportunity where you should, I definitely believe, the more if you bleed in the practice, the less you will bleed in the, the battleground. So this is the time when you should, work on your skill, upskill yourself, and definitely, within a few months of time, things will improve. And in fact, right now also, if I see few of the companies are trying to make the best out of it, that they have actually doubled their hiring spree. For example, Amazon, if you take, the Microsoft, they have started hiring more people because they feel that right now the people are not in the state of negotiation. So in this time with a lesser salary, they can hire more people. So that is also there. Many of the companies right now are hiring more than what they have been hiring in the past. So the situation is not that gloomy for the IT space, I feel. It may be a true for the other manufacturing systems or other core industries, but for the IT system, mostly internet based, I don't see much of a concern. So don't get shattered on the thoughts of corona or COVID-19. Just try to keep upskilling yourself, and I think within few months the situation should improve, and this we should take it as an opportunity. I guess.